Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Ask Not Me Anything podcast here on wherever you're listening to it, really. And thanks for tuning in. And in this episode, I sit down with Jen Winston. We had a really good conversation where I learned and unlearned a lot. And she is an author, a meme creator, and a creative strategist in tech. We met a couple years ago now while traveling abroad. And in this podcast, we address topics such as bisexuality, gender, and we even talk about our weirdest and best dates that we've ever had. So I really enjoyed this conversation, and let's just get to it. Thanks for tuning in. I'm sitting here right next to Jen, aka Generous. And hi. How are you doing, Jen?
I'm good. It's so good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for coming through.
It's been I think a year. Almost.
It's been about a year, yeah.
How are you?
And then we met 2 years ago.
I know, which is wild. So 1 year ago, because the last year does not count.
It doesn't count. So we met a year ago.
But it's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. What? Should we just jump right into the questions?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Let's do it.
All right. First question is coming in from Ian Pacreef Photography.
You're bold to read everybody's handles.
Well, yeah, I want to shout the people out who asked the questions, because I always appreciate the people sending through the questions and taking the time to think of a good question.
Some of them are E382. I mean, it's good for you.
But that's what it makes it fun too, to try to pronounce these and butcher these usernames.
It's a game for everybody.
Yeah. So thank you, Ian Pacreef Photography.
Yes, thank you.
What got you into writing and why?
That's a nice question.
Yeah, thought it started off with something light.
Yeah. I think it took me a really long time to be comfortable self-identifying as a writer. I never felt like I deserved that title. But I've always done it. I've done it. I feel like the only reason everyone is really a writer. Basically, everyone can sit down and put their thoughts to paper, and then it's just when you want to name yourself that.
Yeah. I feel the same exact way about photography as a photographer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's everyone's a photographer. Everyone has an iPhone. Everyone's taking photos and posting on their Instagram.
Yeah.
Why aren't you a photographer if you're taking photos? And I had a very similar feeling where, when could I call myself a photographer, a professional photographer? It's I don't feel worthy of that title. So I totally relate to how you're explaining that.
That's really interesting. I wonder if it's like that for a lot of creative pursuits, like painting and music and stuff.
I'm sure it is. If we both feel that way, I don't know.
And then it's once you not to be quoting The Secret here, but I've been quoting The Secret a lot recently, which is embarrassing. But once you start naming it that, you're people start gravitating toward you. I had to start calling myself that in order to do it regularly and to start writing every day and making myself actually do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ian.
Thanks, Ian. The next question is from Daniel Ryman. What's an underrated thing people might not know about New York? And by the way, these questions jump all over the place. Yeah. So they're not in any certain order. We're going from topic to topic to topic.
Okay. I mean, doesn't everybody kind of know that Manhattan is built on granite?
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? That's why it doesn't sink.
Oh, cool.
Fun fact.
Unlike Miami, which apparently is going to sink in 100 years, right? I think I read that somewhere.
Probably. That sounds like a climate change reality that we're dealing with. But yeah, New York, that's how it can support the weight of all the buildings. It's built
I didn't know
granite.
This.
Great. That's an underrated thing about New York.
Okay.
I feel pretty good.
Cool. Yeah, that's a fun fact.
Yeah,
too.
I didn't even know that. That was a pretty good one to pull out.
Keep that under my sleeve. Yeah,
it's a good one.
I think the first thing that came to mind, the most underrated thing about New York would be, to me, just being able to bike here. It's such a bike accessible city, and getting around everywhere. You get exercise. It's fun, and it's the fastest way to get around compared to LA.
Oh, yeah. I guess I didn't really answer that part of the question.
No, you answered it.
I mean,
we just had two totally different answers. It was I guess your answer was more of a fun fact about New York,
geographically the most underrated thing. No, but I think I also would say even just coming here to meet you in Bushwick, I feel like I'm in a completely different place.
And you're one neighborhood over. You live in Williamsburg.
I took a lift, which was nice because I haven't been in the lift in a while, and it was 10 minutes, and I'm feels like I've traveled.
Do you know what's crazy about Lyft? Do you remember when they had their whole advertising campaign, or their whole shtick was pink mustaches?
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, it was great branding, honestly.
You liked it?
I mean,
it's memorable. I still think about it often.
And you like know them as the pink rideshare app.
Right.
Like those things are like forever linked.
The pink mustache rideshare app.
I mean,
I always choose Lyft over Uber.
Yeah, me too, for like a variety of reasons.
Also, I love the feature where you could like Lyft. I don't know if Uber does this feature, but Lyft definitely does. You could pick like a certain organization that you could donate to, and whatever your ride comes out to, it rounds up whatever like the change. Yeah, that's such a great way to donate, because it doesn't even feel like you're donating. Yeah, that stuff adds. Yeah,
it really is. The other thing that I will say about Lyft, while this is like not sponsored, but they are the Lyft Pink that you can order, that you can sign up for, pay for. It came free with my credit card, so I did it for a year. It's like it's like a frequent member. Like you get like reduced rates. Like, oh my god, it was the most game changing. It was phenomenal. So if you have a Chase Sapphire credit card.
All right, this is turning into a sponsored podcast.
It really is. It really is.
No, that's a cool feature.
Yeah, but
while we're on this question, what is the most overrated thing about New York? I want to ask you. That's the most underrated thing. So, like Wall Street. Like, I think I moved here, or I don't know, Times Square. That's like a basic answer, but like in terms of places to go, Times Square, in terms of like aspirations that I thought I needed to have when I moved here, Wall Street. Because I like moved here and like thought that was what I like wanted to. You saw Wolf of Wall Street with Leonardo DiCaprio, and you were like, damn, I want to be him. It's like Jordan, what's his, Jordan Bedford. Yeah, that sounds about right. Something like that. Wait, I have a fun fact about Margot Robbie. Oh, wow. Let's hear it. Just that I always think of when that movie came out. She's your cousin. No, but I did have dinner with her once. Oh. And she actually, I had dinner with her once because she used to date a friend of mine, like wildly, like right before she was in that movie. And she actually said this like really brilliant, poignant thing about the difference between LA and New York. She said that New York, you just like walk out of it was right before I moved to New York from LA, and I was like, I really wanted to like know what I was going to expect. And she was like, in New York, you just walk out of the door and like you like come back like 20 hours later and like a ton of different things have happened to you and you like don't know how they happen. But in LA, you have to like calculate and plan what you want to do because you have to drive. And so you have to like figure it out. And I think about it like all the time because it does really like explain the tangible difference, like the way we get around. Interesting. Yeah. I like to think of the difference between New York and LA as LA is a shitty version of heaven and New York is a fun version of hell. Oh my God. That's what I go by. That's perfect. Wow. You just beat Margot Robbie in my head. I mean, that's not an original thought from me. So I think someone said something like that at some point and it just stuck with me. So oh my God, it's so good. Yeah, that stuck with me. It's like so true. It's so true. Wow. Actually, I haven't lived in LA, so I can't totally say for sure, but I could imagine. Yes. Let's move on to the next question, which is from Kala_Ruff. At what age did you start questioning your gender and identity? Ooh, well, I would say I just recently started questioning my gender. I like during quarantine, really, like kind of in the last few years. But I know I'm not alone in that I'm questioning my gender while I'm like at home, not having to like put on makeup and like quote unquote perform gender for the world. Like I know from TikTok that I'm not alone. Like I've learned from other people there. But I think with my sexuality, like buy my book and you can find out. But yeah, I think with my sexuality, it's just been something that I've always kind of known that I wasn't straight, but in this way where I've been like, it's probably fine. Like you don't have to deal with it. And I sort of just like stuffed it down for a really long time. It was a lot of imposter syndrome about like not being gay enough and not being queer enough. And once I was like, you know what, I'm bisexual, like
I'm 100% content being between these two places. Like that's where I am forever. Then like the floodgates opened and I could start questioning my gender. And I was like, whoa, what is being a woman? What does it mean?
It's interesting. You just explaining this. I feel like there's some parallels between how you feel about your gender with how you feel about your career as a writer. It's like what validates it, but you yourself. I mean, it's like no one knows yourself more than you. But I dated this like intellectual guy, creative writing guy in college, and I helped him write his thesis. And I'm like so bitter that I gave him this idea because he wrote this amazing short story. His whole thesis was about the idea of naming and being, and like how if you name something, it like becomes into existence. And he wrote this short story based off my idea about like this period of time when kisses didn't make a sound. So like you could like try to kiss your hand right now without making a sound. It's like, you just like touched your lips to your hand and it like means nothing. That's like, I felt really weird. I'm going to do it again. Yeah. You're just like touching. I felt nothing.
It's literally a touch. And then the sound makes it a kiss.
When did that happen where it changed from a touch to a...
that's what this guy wrote a short story about. And it's like, honestly...
And you gave him this idea.
I gave him... Well, I just mentioned the thing. Okay. He like wrote this whole... It was basically like a historical myth about like how people created sounds for kisses, which it's very cute. I'm sure you can Google it and find it somewhere. But yeah, I think like that is such a little thing that you can do to be like, if I want this to be in the world, like I need to say it.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I want to read that story, but also don't want to support someone else.
No, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Cool. In the scheme of guys, he's a good guy.
Okay, good to know.
Yes.
Next question is from Liz Levitch. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Hi, Liz. No, Liz. Oh my gosh, that's such a good one.
You can also come back to it if you want to let it simmer for a little bit. Let that idea marinate.
I do want to.
Got to dig back there to think what your best advice is sometimes.
Yeah, I know. Oh no, I know, and it might not be actually answering that question, but it's the thing that's most relevant to me right now.
Let's go with it.
One of my like mentors, her name's Maggie. She's amazing. If she's listening, I've been stressing out a lot about urgency. People who need things now, when people are like creating that urgency, she told me that most urgency is invented. And I was like, you're right. Most of this is like, these timelines are fake. Like everyone, like, you want to get something out, whatever, but like, just prioritize yourself a little bit and like, and do what you can do. And yeah, another thing off of that is, I recently took like a mental health leave from work, which
we were talking about this last time we hung out.
Yeah, that was even a FaceTime. We weren't even hanging out. I know.
Hey, it felt like a hangout.
It did.
That's what counts.
That's meaningful. But during that time, I kind of learned that saying no to something means saying yes to something else. Whether that is saying no to doing lots of little projects might mean saying yes to doing one big project in a more deep, thorough way.
That's valuable advice. For example, this book.
Yeah,
which is one deep project.
Yeah.
It's just something you've been working on for, I peeked at some of the questions and I think we'll get to it.
Okay.
We'll talk more of the book in a little bit. And the next question's from Lele610. Do you ever get writer's block, and any tips for overcoming it? You're smirking while hearing this question.
I am. I mean, like, it's funny now that I've finished this book. Like, if you were gonna hold a gun to my head and be like, write a book, I would not be able to do it because I don't have anything left to say. Like, I don't have
gas in the tank.
Yeah, and I think I only write well when I feel like I have something to say. So I'm not great at answering this question, but I do think that prompts are really helpful. Like, every time I've taken a writing class, they've given really amazing prompts. And one time they gave this prompt that was like, write like 500 words focused on an object, like start with the object at the core. And I wrote about like from the point of view of the bed, like a sexual encounter from the point of view of the bed in the hotel. And it was like a really cool, like I wouldn't have written that essay. It led to an essay that got cut from my book. But I would never have written that essay if I hadn't like started there. And there were so many other cool ones in the class. Like that's a good prompt.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, or else like if there's so much it's similar with photography again. It's like I find it similar when there's a subject matter prompt to work with where you could create within these boundaries. And as comparatively to like, you know, you could write about anything. You could take a photo about anything. That's like yeah, that's way too much.
No, yeah, it's
easy to have some constraints to work within.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a really, you know, Austin Kleon.
Sounds very familiar.
He's like original.
Oh,
like,
yeah. I don't know him, but I know
you like.
I don't want to say too much, but I know he like made something very similar to someone.
Oh, really?
Else.
Oh,
like
I don't know about that.
One of his books is very similar to like. I don't know. I don't
know about that. Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I had been like following his work when I was like working in ad agencies as like in like 2012 or something.
Okay.
And
that's a long time ago.
Yeah. I like.
That's like almost 10 years ago. That's crazy.
I know.
I'm just thinking like the actual year right. 2012 is literally 9 years ago.
Yeah. That's so wild. Yeah. Wow. But he always says like creativity is subtraction and like well, that's different, but he talks about creativity within lines of constraint.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what quarantine was a lot for me is like, I'm usually out and about and doing things, running errands here, doing photo shoot here, meeting there, meeting a friend here, whatever there. And then all of a sudden I'm just like stuck in my apartment and I had to like be creative while not being out and about, and you like that was crushed it. That was a fun challenge for me because I never was forced to stay inside. I like to do things. It allowed me to like a lot of my ideas that I'm always kind of getting ideas, but I don't act on all of them because all of a sudden something else is happening in my life and I just you know. So but it gave me no excuses to just like act on whatever idea I had and make a project about it or make art with it. So
you did so good.
Thank you.
That also reminds me in 2012 when I was like in this Austin Kleon creative phase, I was like a junior copywriter at an ad agency. And I was like, creativity, like it's the key to everything. And in my cubicle, I had like all these like Tumblr posts printed out in my cubicle. And one of them said more ideas than time. And it was like written.
I relate to that.
Yeah, I know. I think about it all the time because I'm like, yes, this is
that
the
from
case.
Austin or
no,
is that from?
It was just like I think I had like a photo of something of his next to it.
Okay.
Yeah, but
cool.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next question.
Okay.
Which is from also Liz Levitch. I circled a couple more of her questions. She's had really good questions, and they are: what's currently your favorite TikTok trend, and what's your favorite travel memory? Which one do you want to go with first?
Oh my god.
Let's go with favorite travel memory first.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Let's go with favorite TikTok trend first.
Okay. Well, just because it's like literally stuck in my head. The one that's like waking up in the morning.
Oh yeah.
Think about so many things. I just wish. It's like every single time they are hilarious, and I'm like, oh my god.
What's the origin of that sound? Who did that? I just hear that all the time.
I don't actually know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Whenever these TikTok trends happen, I love to look at the origin video.
Me too.
How it happened. But I haven't looked at this one yet, but I love this sound.
One of my favorite ones, like of all time, is one of the early ones. That's the "Is it me, Jesus?" You know what?
Oh, I don't even know that one.
It was like, of course, you like joined TikTok after me, and you're like a huge creator, but great. But it was like a dialogue between like Jesus and the disciples and Judas. But it was like this like woman did it, or this person, I'm trying not to gender people. I don't know people's genders. This person did like a stunt where they were like having a conversation, and then people just like took it and made it into all these memes, and you should just look it up. It's like original TikTok.
Okay, I gotta look that one up. Wait, speaking of that, like not wanting to assume people's genders, something I just thought about now is, you know how like all the time I'll be like, or people, I don't know if it's a New York thing or it's everywhere thing, but or I think YouTubers do it. It's like, hey guys, how's it going?
Oh my God.
Is that, how do you feel about the term hey guys, hi guys? Or like if you talk to a group, it's never like, hey people, like, you know what I'm talking about. So
I always do it, and I always try not to. It's so hard not to do.
It's so hard not to. I don't, yeah.
But I do try not to, because like at first I was like, it's fine. Like that's one of the ones I'll be fine with. Like I won't I'm
fine with it. I just want to be like cautious, or I want to be mindful of what other people
I think we should all
comfortable.
try to like get rid of it.
So what's the alternative?
I like
hey guys?
y'all.
Y'all.
Y'all
See,
is
but
a
then,
fantastic
But
word.
then it's like, y'all I feel like is so Southern. I'm not from the South at all.
Yeah, but like it's
okay. So say you're making a YouTube video, and
I wouldn't
you're
say hey y'all,
and you're addressing people,
I would be like,
whether it's at the
hey,
end.
Hey, hey guys.
See, then you're trying too
I don't
much,
know.
right?
I'm not a YouTube star. There's a reason.
Is there a better alternative than hey guys?
Hey y'all.
It's y'all.
If you say it slow, it's less Southern. If you say it like
hey,
perky,
what about hey you all?
Hey you all.
It doesn't roll off the tongue nice.
No, hey everybody.
Hey everybody.
In fact, a long time ago, I took over LeBron James's Instagram, which was
I know this story.
The greatest day of my dad's life. But I
still can't believe that happened.
Yeah, I know, it was wild. It was really cool. We have open DMs, just saying. But like once I tagged him in the story, and it was like, King James has watched your story, and I was like, what?
And you saw it.
It was crazy, but yeah,
literally the king.
Yeah, seriously. But I redid that video so many times because I just kept being like, hey guys, and I was like, no, if you're doing this for LeBron James's Instagram, you're not gonna do that. So
is that what inspired you to let so many other creators take over your own story? Is because LeBron James let you take over his story? And you're just giving back?
Actually, no. I think I had done that before. Okay. But no, that was a suggestion from my friend Jelson, who like I was trying to figure out what to do as my platform was growing. And he was like, you should do takeovers. And that was like the most fulfilling thing I've done with my platform. But it's like so hard and like time intensive, and requires like a lot of management.
And then some people still like to come after you and roast you for it, which I see.
Yeah,
which is
well,
wild.
there was the last time that happened, I should have been moderating comments, and like I'm trying to figure out how to moderate comments right now. I like just put out a request for a community manager and got like a bunch of emails.
Oh wow!
And I am like too swamped.
But then trust is a thing. Like you can't just hire anyone.
No, I'm gonna like interview, and I'm gonna pay because it's like a position, you know. And yeah, I think it's like it's hard to figure those things out, like especially because I have like a day job. Like I'm like, I mean, the day job is really how I afford to even do stuff with my platform. Like the platform's really, when I do my taxes, it's very clear that my Instagram is not profitable. Right. Like the IRS is about to be like, this is no longer a business, ma'am. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Let's go on to the next question. Which is, oh wait, I guess you didn't answer. What's your favorite travel memory?
Oh, yeah. Oh God, I've been looking at like probably us going to Israel.
How we met.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's your favorite travel memory. That's the first one.
No, but it was great. Like hanging out with you at the Dead Sea was like a phenomenal thing.
There's a photo of us. If you're watching the YouTube video version of this right now, we'll put the photo like right here of us with the mud on our bodies before we go in the Dead Sea.
I don't like look like that after quarantine. Like once upon a time. But oh my God, that was so fun. You know what I always remember about being in the Dead Sea with you is that you made me do a foot five. Like we were floating and you were like, let's foot five.
Did I
and
do
I was
that?
like, Jeremy, I cannot do this.
We were literally let because the Dead Sea.
It made sense. We were like floating. We were like, it totally made sense.
And
but
I
like,
said that. That's something I would do.
I have a visceral memory of the way it felt. It was like so gross.
With mud on her, was there mud on her feet?
Yeah.
Just like,
I remember
That's so funny.
Yeah.
But it wasn't successful. Did we do the foot 5?
No, we did.
Or did I just suggest
we
it?
did, and then I like, I was like,
and then you got scarred from it.
It was like, it felt like if a stingray were to like brush against you and like be like slippery. It was weird.
One in Israel.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Question is from Lucy Maurer.
Okay.
Any advice for aspiring strategists?
Yeah. I think.
What does a strategist entail, by the way?
Well, like, I had always been hesitant to use the term strategist, like in a marketing environment, and to like take a role that involved it, because I thought that it meant I couldn't be creative anymore. Like, there, in a lot of places, there's this like especially ad agencies, there's this like segmentation. Like, certain people do the strategy where they come up with the audience and the segmentation and like what your approach is going to be, and then they hand that off to the creatives, and the creatives come up with the idea. But ultimately, like, those things work best if they work together. So I now am a creative strategist, and I basically come up with the idea and then how to execute it. And so I think if you want to become a strategist, you want to think about like, what part of the process is most interesting to you? Like, what part do you want to do research on? Because normally strategy is like doing the research and the prep work and the planning. And it's like about building the infrastructure for big picture ideas.
And this is all also working in a team setting. You have to be able to, Yeah,
you can't really like just be a strategist like as a means to an end, because it's not really like executional.
Right.
Like I don't have like strong Photoshop skills, really. Like we were just saying, like I do Word. I can type stuff.
I would disagree with that.
I make all my memes in Keynote. That's the only software I know.
Really?
Because I am good at presentations. Like,
interesting.
Yeah, that's the only software I know. Yeah, I can even make videos. Make a Keynote.
It's just one slide on your Keynote or do you have a Keynote slide where it's like thousands of memes that you've made?
No, I have multiple Keynotes that I like export to JPEG.
That's fascinating.
And I can even make like a crappy animated video in Keynote, because you can export to MP4. But other than that, like, I'm so envious of you to be able to like not like collapse on yourself if you open what do you make videos in? Like
Premiere.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
It's a lot of work, as all these guys know that are sitting with it right now. It's
so much tech.
Yeah,
we applaud you.
Let's move on to the next question, which is from Ill Concept. Other than writing, do you enjoy expressing yourself with any other forms of art?
Yeah. Well, I actually I haven't dabbled in that many forms of art. Because I was just trying to get a book deal for like literally my whole life. Like, I've just wanted to write personal essays, and there's not really anywhere to write personal essays other than a book. So I was like, okay, that's what I have to do. So I've been like trying to just write constantly in my free time. But at the beginning of quarantine, I like really needed something for my mental health, and I started painting, and I started doing oil painting. I oil painted myself flashing, myself taking a selfie while I was flashing the camera. So that was my magnum opus. Is that what you say?
Sounds about right. Can you explain this painting a little bit? So are you?
I'll give you the picture if you're watching. This is it.
we could put it in the video right here. All right, so it's gonna be
I put it on my Instagram. Okay. But I started to like painting because I was like, oh, you could get really creative with this in terms of if you do a still life, you could what do you put in the still life? Like, I started doing one that had my partner's Trans Lives Matter hat, and then it had like a bottle of weed. It was like, these are the things in our house, and and I put my cell phone in it because I was like, I want my cell phone immortalized. I never finished that painting, but it was fun. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see it after this podcast.
Okay, yeah.
After hearing you describe it.
It's not great, but it was like my second painting.
But it just sounds so, just you being passionate about it, makes me interested to see it.
I was kind of like, once I'm done with this book tour, like I'm going to get into that again because it was so relaxing. And then like, this is not who I wanted to be like thinking about. But then I was thinking about George Bush and like George W. Bush, because like after his presidency,
he painted.
He painted.
It's inspiring.
And like, they're like not bad.
Yeah.
And everyone was
like,
it's
so surprising too. Every media outlets wanted to cover it because like, president, like,
I mean, like, of course they did though. They'll like do whatever for like a media fluff piece on George Bush, but George W. Bush, but
yeah, interesting. We were actually talking right before this podcast, and I was surprised you did a painting because I know your life lately has just been like all your time and energy when you're not doing your day job has been going straight into writing this book and putting it all together. And like we were just talking about how writing a book and like the process of editing, you were saying, it's like you're reading a whole nother book and then you're writing it again. It's like after this podcast, which we're recording, what time is it, like 8 o'clock, 8:30? What are you gonna like go? You're gonna go home and be up until how late tonight editing more? I mean,
this is like my final day. So,
this tonight is? Well,
it was, my edits were due yesterday, but I got myself like one additional day. Okay. So but yeah, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go through and do like a final pass. But then it's like a final pass is read your whole book. Like you have to read your book many times. Yeah, I'm gonna. And then there are some like amazing moments with it. Like I've never worked on a project this large scale, and I just feel I'm so proud of myself. Like I realized that this weekend I was like, holy shit! Like I worked really hard on this, and there was so much research, like so much thought went into like every sentence and like the way that I'm saying everything. And it's also weird because I'm used to like writing for Instagram captions that I can just like edit or like hyperlink,
right?
Or like drive somewhere. But like you have to think through all these like user experience elements of the book. Like I added in footnotes, and I was like, what kind of like what's going to be my like thought process for like what goes in a footnote versus what goes in parentheses. Like you have to think through all these like structural things. And yeah, I mean, it just, honestly, I just have so much respect for anyone who's done this before, because it like, it's so hard. Like,
and I have respect for you because I have no idea how you do it. I can't even write like a 500-word essay.
That's probably not true. We try it. You'll write something about an object after this.
Yeah. Okay. Give me an assignment. I'll see what I can do. But anyway, I'm super proud of you, and I think you deserve to pat yourself on the back. Yeah, because like it's important as artists in general.
Did I mess up the mic?
No, you're good. As artists in general, like we gotta like sometimes like take a step back and like look at what we've done and be proud of ourselves, because we always like we're always comparing ourselves to other people and not looking at what we've done ourselves and being proud of ourselves and like realizing that we've done some cool stuff. So I'm happy you're like realizing how much you've done, and it's definitely worth being very proud of yourself, and I'm excited for you.
I mean, another thing I'll just say to anyone who's working on like a big project or like has a dream of a big project, like do it, because there's like a level of satisfaction to having accomplished this and actually said what I like really want to say that I will never get from having like a viral Instagram or something, like a meme or a viral tweet. Like no, like there's like an instant gratification that I am now aware of that comes from those things that like this is just, it just feels like so much more profound.
Absolutely.
And
it's more of a sustainable feeling compared to like one viral meme for a second. It's like a quick it's endorphin boost.
And I'll tell you, can I just say one more? I know I'm like distracting from the questions, but I had a nice moment this weekend where there was an essay that I was kind of struggling with, and I like made some notes and edits, and then I like reread the essay, And at the end of it, I like started crying because I was like moved by my words. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is what I wanted to accomplish. And if you know the writer, George Saunders, he's like a fantastic writer, short story writer. He wrote an essay about like what writing and editing means. And he said that like the reason you edit while you write is because you wanna jump through time. Like I move this parentheses here, or I move this article or pronoun here so that you in the future can connect with me. And I was like, that's wild. Like that's what you're really doing. You're like putting something in a form that it can like become eternal. Right? That's cool.
Definitely. Next question's from Jack_lol. Advice for responding to people, in parentheses, men who fetishize your bi-ness.
Ooh. Wow. I bet the person who wrote this is a bisexual, because this is a very real situation. Yeah, I mean, like being like fetishized as a bisexual is like part of why it took me so long to realize that I was bi, because I like I thought I just like wanted to like hook up with women like in front of men. Like I thought that was it. So I was like, oh, I'm just like a kinky straight girl. But I guess my I guess I would just say like maybe don't date men for a bit. Like if you're bi, you have that option, more or less. So yeah, fetishize their straightness. Try that.
Next question's from Kylia Rosen. What was the process for writing your book, from the idea to getting it published?
That's a great question. So as I mentioned, I've wanted to write a collection of personal essays for a very long time. I have written 5 book proposals, because with nonfiction, you sell the book on a book proposal. You can write it, but you don't have to. And that includes like an overview, like a table of contents with like rough ideas of each chapter, and then like a marketing plan and sample chapters and stuff like that, where it's like 80 pages versus...
So you made a whole deck for this, or you had someone make you a deck?
It's like a huge Word document. Okay. But that sort of summarizes the book and summarizes like how you're going to market it. But for fiction, you have to like finish the book. So like if someone sells a novel and like gets a book deal from their novel, like the book is done normally, unless they're like an established author. But I had written 5 book proposals. I probably more, honestly. I just found a really old one, which was a sick idea, by the way. It was called Screenshots. And I literally had all these screenshots from like AIM to like texting, to like Snapchat. And I like took real screenshots from like text with guys. And I was like writing the essay like around them. But that like it started there, and then the last one I wrote was...
I like that concept a lot.
I know. I think it's a good... I mean, this book is honestly, it's like it has that. Like there's plenty of text, and I was so happy I had the proposal, because I could be like, aha, that was what that text said. But yeah, I like kept kind of iterating on it with each proposal. Like I made it. Like there was one where it was kind of like where me being bi was at like the end of the book, and it was like I've like come out like, and now I'm found myself, the end. Yeah. But I think I started to realize that like I really wanted a book about bisexuality to exist, like just because I wanted to read it. And I was like, oh, that means there's an opportunity here for me to like talk about this. One of my friends who's also bi, who's in the book, his name is Ben. He always talks about how there's no bi culture in like, there's gay culture and there's straight culture, but there's like not bi culture. The first essay in my book is about this. And that really like impacted me a lot. And I was like, oh, we need things that are like explicitly bisexual. And so I wrote this proposal with that in mind. I hired a proposal coach, which was new and cost me more than I was like comfortable paying. But like, I was like, you know what? I want to do this. Like, I want to make sure
You're
that this
investing
happens.
in yourself.
Yeah. And I'm really glad I did that because it made it real. And it put me on a deadline. And she connected me with my agent. And my agent sold the book within a week. It was wild. My agent sent out the proposal on Bi Visibility Day. Like, genius move.
Which is what day?
September 21st, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's almost my birthday.
When's your birthday?
15th.
Wait, what sign are you? Oh, I should know this from you. Oh, yeah, from your, yeah.
Got to listen to episode 3 with Kira.
I did. I started it. Yeah. But yeah, and then this is the end.
Oh, no, you're
the end of that process. So then we sold it and we were like, when do we want it to come out? And I was like, I want it to come out on Bi Visibility Day next year. That sounds great. And they were like, okay, if you want that, you have 3 months to write it.
Oh, so that's why, because your book right now is available for pre-order.
But
it comes out on Bi Visibility Day?
We had to push it a little bit. It comes out October 5th.
Okay, so...
But you should pre-order it because it's nice to me. Please.
I mean, I pre-ordered it.
Oh, thanks.
I'm excited.
That's very nice.
And then, did you have anything else to? Is that's pretty much it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and then I get to market it, which is also fun because that's like stuff I like to do.
Yeah, and make memes to market it. I'm
sure. I'll be talking to you about that.
The next question's also from Kylie Rosen. How did you become a meme creator? Also, do you think bisexuality is underrepresented or misunderstood in the media? Those are two very different questions. Okay, let's do how did you become a meme creator first?
Well, I used to work at BuzzFeed, and so I like took what I knew there about content and how content like spreads, and I applied it to my Instagram, and it worked. And the key thing there is that you make content that people want to share. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, so I remember when I first met you 2 years ago. Your Instagrams were different. You had like a personal one where you're kind of did for personal stuff, and then you had your account called Girl Power Supply.
Yes,
which was
good memory.
Thanks. Which was all memes, right?
Yeah, I mean, I post about myself sometimes. But.
Okay, yeah, threw in a selfie here and there, but you stayed pretty active with memes under the certain subgenre, which was, how would you describe this?
It was like activism related stuff. I mean, I started after Trump was elected because I was like so mad and I didn't like have anywhere to put my energy. And then it kind of just like grew. And I mean, the reason I combined the accounts is because I was like, for one, it'll help me like be a more authentic person if I like am combine it. Like there would be things I'd be like, I don't want to post this in front. And I was like, no, like I should just be one person. And then also it was just exhausting to like have 2 accounts. But yeah, it started with memes. I mean, really, I was like just posting a lot of stuff that I was like unlearning from and like things that were teaching me things. And I was like, oh, maybe someone else will learn from this too.
Something I love about you is you're always unlearning and very open to unlearning. And that's like a lot of what a lot of us should do. Because we're taught from society, from our culture, that things are a certain way when they really shouldn't be.
It's like so wild, all the things that we're taught.
So it's a lot of learning is unlearning nowadays, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like it's like learning twice because you have to learn that you're wrong and then you have to learn what the right thing is.
Ooh, yeah. And sometimes it's hard to admit that you're wrong because it's just so embedded in you. You just like from people you trust or books you trust or resources we trust. So
I feel like I'm gonna like for the next like year of my life, I'm just gonna keep quoting my book. But in the like,
I want you to quote your book as much as possible because I haven't read it yet. I pre-ordered it, but
you're very sweet.
But I'm sure it's gonna. I'm really excited to read it. I don't read that many books, so
that means I hope you like it. Yikes, a lot of pressure. But in the prologue, I talk about this unlearning idea that I like to use, which is like if you are trying to figure out why something is like wrong, you just do what like a kid would do to their parents about like, why is the sky blue? You're just like, okay, why is like, to combine the questions, why don't that many people openly identify as bisexual? Like, and then you can start to like peel away the layers of the onion. And like, sometimes it's like hard to tell that there's a question to even like start with in the first place. This is why I don't quote my book, because it's better written in the book.
Yeah. All right. Well, to answer that full question, you'll have to check out the book on October 21st.
No, just pre-order it.
Yeah, just pre-order it. And then the second part of that question, I mean, it was just another question, but it's, do you think bisexuality is underrepresented or misunderstood in media?
Yes. And I think that the reason for this...
Imagine if you said no.
Yeah. No, I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely like already, like, I feel like people started realizing this pretty recently, and it's already getting better. But the reason that it is so underrepresented is because for a long time, like, writers, you know, you've probably heard the writing like axiom, show don't tell. And yeah, like that's a common like creative thing, like but with bisexuality it doesn't really work, because it makes bisexuality look like a behavior rather than a like an identity. And so I used to see like people would have like people would do bisexual things, but I would be like, wait, like if they're doing that and they're not like calling themselves anything, then I'm just like a normal, like I'm just a person. And so it really like took away the ability to access that. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you believe everyone's on a spectrum, or do you think some people are 100% one thing or 100% another thing?
Are you like asking me, is everyone bisexual?
Yeah. I mean, I just like thinking it off the top right now. Do you think everyone's on some sort of spectrum?
I think, well, I unlearned recently that, like at one point I was like, yes, I do think everyone is bisexual. The way you asked this question is more like politically accurate.
Okay.
No, you did better.
Also, is that like a bad question to ask?
No, it's a good question, because I do think that there's a system called monosexism, which is the idea that you have to be either gay or straight. That's the core system that we don't talk about. That like it's the opposite of being monosexual is being bisexual.
Right, because even if you're bisexual, it doesn't mean you like women or men 50% or other genders. It's like it could be you like one gender or way more than another. It's just like
totally.
So and that's like a misconception.
And that's another thing. People are like, oh, but bi means two. In my book, there's a whole FAQ about all of these questions. I had to. I like really wanted to cut the FAQ, and I'm like, I need it there. It's like important. Yeah. It's at the back, but yeah.
Cool. All right, let's move on to the next question.
Okay.
Which is actually a DM, because she DM'd me and said her question was too long to fit in the questions feature.
I love that she knew not to put it in multiple.
Her name's Jamie Latora, aka Jamie23. She asked 3 questions, which were all really good, but I'm just going to pick one question from her, which is, a coworker recently shared the bi-monthly with me. In parentheses, I love it. Anyone who doesn't know, bi-monthly is Jen's newsletter that is bi-monthly, which is also addressing bisexuality issues.
Yes. It's once a month, but
it's once a month.
I had to change it, but for a while it was twice a month, every other month.
You're busy. Yeah. We got it. But missed opportunity.
No, but now it's bi-monthly. Right. So like you get
okay. So it still works. It still works. Okay, cool.
Don't worry, I wouldn't let you down. Yeah.
And she says, in it, you talked about experiencing a lot of personal shifts over the past year, specifically with gender identity, body image, etc. Can you talk a bit more about how you come to some of those realizations? Also, how you work through squishing your feelings down? The smiley face.
Wow. Aw. Yeah. That's like, I think that's the exact language I used in my newsletter, that like goes after my own heart. Wait, sorry. Can you repeat the question? I got distracted by someone repeating my words.
It was just in it, you talked about experiencing a lot of personal shifts over the past year with gender identity, body image, etc. Can you talk a bit more about those and how you came to some of your realizations?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting to think about gender as a performance, and like I really like hit more introspection with gender when I was like, what does it mean to me to be a woman? There's a singer, Empress of, do you know her? She's amazing. But she has this song called "Woman Is a Word," and pretty much the only like lyrics are, "I'm only a woman if woman is a word." And I just like it always gets stuck in my head. And I just kind of like thought about it. And then when quarantine hit, I was like not leaving my house. Like I wasn't going to like my regular regimen of like workout class, like eyebrow wax, like lash extensions, like which I was like getting regularly, which I miss if I'm being honest, like manicure. Like I was doing all these like gendered habits, mainly about the way I look. And I during quarantine, they just stopped. And then I was like, wait, who am I? Like, what is being a woman? Like, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean to me? And also another thing that has like over time impacted the way I think about gender is thinking about masculinity a lot and like thinking about men. I don't know if you've seen the documentary The Mask You Live In.
I haven't.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's like recommended viewing for everyone, but especially for men, because it's about the ways that patriarchy like oppresses men, because it oppresses all of us. And in that documentary, they talk about Jordan Beckford and talk about all these standards that men are held to, that like we say this is masculine. I want to say his
last name is like Buford.
I don't know.
We were talking about the Wolf of Wall Street guy,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm right. I think I'm closer. I don't think either of us are right.
Is it Beckford? Is it? It's
yeah,
Belford. That's what it is. Okay, that sounds right.
Yeah,
I knew it was like slightly off. I just wanted to make sure.
Wrong.
Fact check.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Fact check,
I interrupted you.
Yeah, but in that documentary, they talk about that men are held to like being like like if you want to quote be a man, you have to make money. You have to like have sex with women, and you have to be super athletic, and like those are the things that like make you a man,
and have a man cave.
Yeah, and you need a man cave,
and watch football, and chug beers,
all of those things. And like the thing is, those three core things, those are the opposite of what we teach women. Like we teach, I mean, all those things put women at like in order to be a man, you have to like treat women like shit. It's like in the narrative.
Right.
So like sexism is like written into the narrative. So when you think about it like that, it's like, oh, that's nobody's like fault, but like we all have to stop it. Like
it is and it isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that documentary is called The Mask We Live Behind.
The Mask You Live In. Oh my God, it's fantastic.
Where can we listen? I want to watch this.
I think it's on Netflix.
Okay. Mask We Live In.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to be my next watch.
It's so good, guys. Not guys. Everybody.
Y'all.
Y'all, it's so good.
Y'all. Yeah. Next question is from CVED12.
Okay.
What was the weirdest date you've ever been on? By the way, you have 2 skips. So if you want to skip this one.
No, I like definitely want to answer this, but I don't know.
Well, his next question.
Okay, I'll come back.
His next question is also, what's the best date you've been on? So if you want to answer either one of those first. I feel like I know the best. Last time we hung out on Facebook time, or maybe it was when we actually hung out IRL. But I remember you were telling me how your partner, like for your birthday, like did this incredible thing. So that's the thing that comes to mind for the best date.
That's funny. I was like, not gonna give one of my partner's dates as the best date. No, but that was fantastic. They like cooked me a crawfish boil, or they cooked me like a seafood dinner.
Yeah.
During quarantine and like boiled.
Oh, it was during quarantine.
Yeah, that was like so nice. Another great date that my partner planned was they got me into oil painting, because in the beginning of quarantine,
that was
it was so sweet. They like made me hide in their room, and then they like put all this stuff on the table, like paints, and then we painted self-portraits of each other, and the one that they painted me was terrible. It was like artistically good, but like I looked awful. Yeah. And then the weirdest date, oh man, I want to answer. I can't think of anything.
I feel like I remember I remember like we were like close before you started this long-term, serious
while
relationship.
I was single,
So like while you're single, I remember we were chatting a bunch because we were both single, and you were going on a bunch of dates, I think. And like I remember there was a couple weird ones.
Oh, honestly, it's probably that's the first chapter of my book. One of those weird ones.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that one just sucked. Like that guy just sucked.
Also, yeah, we don't have to.
No, but I don't want to skip. This is like my dream question.
There's some juicy stuff right here.
Oh, okay. I went out with this guy who, this is not a weird date, but it's a weird thing that turned me off, and I did not handle it well. Okay, so I went out with this guy who was like super awesome, like really smart. Like everything about him was great, truly. And we went back to his place, and we were like about to like have, can I cuss on your podcast?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, we were about to fuck, and he was going down on me, which was great. He was doing a great job, and he had this, I forgot to say, he had this incredible dog. It was like a huge pit bull. He was like amazing. And at one point I like shut my eyes, and I like I opened my eyes, and I was like, how is this guy like going down on me and also licking my calf? And no. I know where you thought I was going. I didn't mean to tee it up like that, but like.
No, I thought you said cat.
Oh,
like I thought you had a cat. He was also licking.
No.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I thought I teed it up to sound like the dog was going down on me, but that's not the scenario. No, but the dog was like licking my calf. My on my leg, like my lower leg, and I was so freaked out.
Wow,
and it just turned my whole mood around, which is weird because like now Brindley and I, like my partner and I, like hook up with the dogs like in the bed, and it's not an issue. But like at the time, I don't know why I could not like come back from it. That's definitely not the weirdest date, but like
it's the first one that pops.
It's the first one that came to mind, and that's
funny.
Yeah, and then I feel really awful because I never was really in the opportunity to ghost people. Like I never had the privilege to ghost people, I guess. But I just like ghosted after that. And I thought about like reaching out and being like, hey, I did not handle this very well at all. But then I was like, that's just about me and like me clearing my head. And so like, there's not really a purpose for me to do it. But I feel if he's listening, I feel really bad.
That's funny.
Mm.
Next question is from David Tostin. What are some ways to begin normalizing males being bisexual?
Oh, wow. This is such a huge thing. Yeah, it's like bisexuality is one issue where I think men have it like harder than women, you could argue. Not that it's the oppression Olympics, but I didn't make that phrase up.
That's really funny.
I know everyone like thinks that, and I just know people use it. But yeah, I think that we like it has a lot with men. It has more to do with like internalized homophobia and patriarchy, as well as like with women, it's more about we don't accept fluidity, and like we see things so binary, which also impacts men, and all of this also impacts non-binary.
Wait, women see things binary,
or with bisexuality in women. I mean, like the problems that we experience are more due to fetishization. I knew I was going to have to figure out how to pronounce that word while I'm doing like a press tour, but we have to deal with that, and then like. There's also this just idea that like you have to fit into a clean box. But men, they don't have to deal with the being fetishized as much as with like internalized homophobia and like what it means if they're having sex, like if they're having sex with men. And something else I've learned while writing this book is that there are so many like huge health issues that impact men because of this. Like I think I just found a stat that they were like 72% of gay men who had sex with men told their healthcare providers that they were doing that, and 0% of bisexual men did, because there's like there's all these things of like, why would I say it? I shouldn't say it for like XYZ, and that means you don't get correct health information.
Wow.
You don't
Yeah.
get tested for HIV. And like, that's another reason the stigma exists in the first place, is that like bisexual men are thought to be like bringing like HIV like over to like straight culture. And it's like all of these things, you know, they're all in part of the same origins.
Wow. Yeah. From something I think about is like going to like a party. It's like,
sounds nice.
Yeah, sounds nice,
TBT.
right? Well, TBT, going to a party, it's like so normal to, or just not even going to a party. Just I know like a bunch of my girlfriends like that are all close, like they'll all kiss and make out, and it's like not a big deal, and like and like take photos and post it to their Finsta, whatever. But if guys did that, it's like
I can't even imagine.
It's a totally different thing. The only difference is our gender, but like
but it's like it. Yeah,
our culture doesn't accept that. Isn't it right?
And then it like brings back to the question, like, well, what's the difference? Like, what?
There's
crazy. No difference. And
why is it like that?
Yeah, and I mean, I also like, even with the like ease of like posting photos, like making out, like that was a whole other thing. Like in high school, I have this one essay in this book that's like about a traumatic experience. In hindsight, it's traumatic. At the time, I was like that was fun. Like it was like my first like experience like hooking up with a woman, and it was like with a guy, and it was like for a guy. And I thought I liked it. Like I liked it, but it was so hard for me to determine like why it happened in the first place. Like, was it for me? Was it for him?
Yeah.
And I think that like. It's we talk so casually about these things, but all like some things, but then we don't talk about others, and that shows like the discrepancy between the way that the women and the men are treated doing those things, like shows that there's more to the story to like be unpacked. Yeah.
All right. The next question is from Dave Krugman. What responsibilities do social media companies have to share revenue with creatives?
Ooh, I mean, like, I don't know. I guess I'll skip it.
Yeah, we can skip that one.
I mean, I would say a lot, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll like, just go with a lot as the answer for that.
Okay, a lot.
Next question's from Kid Ace Magic. Do you ever hit a wall when thinking of new memes to create? Do you make that many memes anymore, or is that phase in your life kind of passed a little bit?
Yeah, you know, I think it's past because my taste in memes have just gone like, I only like shit posts. Like I have terrible taste in memes at this point. And so I can't even make them myself. Like, yeah, right. Like, I don't know.
Because you used to make a lot, right? I mean, when I first met you, you were making, you're pumping them out.
If there's a good, I miss doing it, actually. It's like a fun little art project to think about the way things relate to other things. Yeah. I'll do some more for King Ace. Yeah. Kid
Ace Magic.
Kid Ace Magic. Yeah. Thank you for the prompts.
Next question is from the Kid JB. What are some things as a writer you second guess yourself about? For me, it's grammar.
Oh, yeah. Same.
Not for me. For the Kid JB, he said for me, it's grammar. For me, it's like grammar, but also other things.
I mean, well, I've definitely slacked off as a reader over the past few years. And like, I thought that was fine. Like, I was like, this doesn't matter. Like, I'm still a fine writer because I write for Instagram and I like read memes. But the thing that has fallen is my vocabulary. And like, my vocabulary is not good anymore.
We should play Scrabble sometime.
Well, I can hang in a Scrabble game, okay. But like in a book or like in writing, like I kept finding myself like I'll use a word that's like slightly off what I mean, and then it just like doing that undermines trust in the reader, they say. So
like, do you have an example of a time recently you did that with a certain word that you kind of slightly got off? I can relate to that because I mess up.
Yes.
Sometimes these words just, come to mind and I just say it and I'm like, wait, that like is not the right word for this context. And you're like,
please don't call it out. Yeah. I mean, this is a super small one, but like, there's an essay. A lot of the essays in the book are written in the second person, weirdly. So, which is like, you do blank. And so there's this one essay about like high school, and it's like, you flirt with Parker in English and Chris in algebra 2 is like the sentence.
Okay.
I remember this one because I told my parents about it for some reason. And I realized that I should have changed it to you flirt with Parker during English and Chris during algebra 2. Because I mean, you don't have like, actually now that I say that out loud, I'm like, maybe the first one, but it's more accurate to convey that those are classes by using during. And I this is why it takes me so long to do edits, because I'm like, what is the like historical Greek roots of the word? And it's like really exhausting.
My whenever I write like post Instagrams or tweets, my grandma, she's very up on her grammar.
Oh,
and so she'll correct me all the time, which I really appreciate, because I'm not, with Instagram captions, at least I could edit them.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's funny because she'll like use all caps when she texts me to like correct the, and it feels like she's yelling at me.
Yeah,
it's funny. She's like the sweetest.
Add a comma. Yeah. Wait, that's so amazing. You should like post those screenshots. Yeah. People would love it.
Well, yeah, if you're watching the YouTube video version of this podcast, I'll post a screenshot of an example of that right here.
Yeah.
All right, we're in the final stretch, the home stretch. We got a couple questions left. How are you feeling?
I feel like I've been talking too long. Have we been?
No, I'm interviewing you. I want to hear your story. Okay. You're doing great.
Great.
Yeah, so we have just a couple questions left. And this next question is from the L.
Great handle.
What are some ways to navigate bisexuality in a committed heterosexual relationship?
Ooh, this is such a good question. This is a very common question also, because 89% of bisexual women.
You have the stats
I sure
ready
do.
to go.
I'm thrilled that
I'm
I can.
impressed.
89% of bisexual women are in committed relationships. So when people are like, bisexuality is like you're gonna tear apart our relationship by being bisexual, like 89% committed monogamous relationships. But the thing that I would say, like, a common critique of bisexual people is that like we're promiscuous and we're gonna like ruin lives and stuff. Like speaking of media representations, like bi people are always portrayed as like homewreckers. Like if you've seen Jennifer's Body, that's a classic example of like bisexuality, like demonic, like literally murderer. Murderous bisexual is like a trope, but which is like great. I love it, but the thing I would say is that if you are interested in exploring your bisexuality, like your issue is not with your bisexuality, it's with monogamy. So like that might be something to like unpack or communicate about, because it's the same. It's like the genders that you're interested in exploring like doesn't necessarily, like it could be a reason for wanting to be non-monogamous, but it's like you still have the capacity to be monogamous. It's like a different layer of the cake. Okay,
while we're on this topic, I have a question. When you become partners with someone and you become in a committed relationship, when is it best to, define your relationship as a monogamous or non-monogamous relationship? Like, is it off the bat when you start dating? Where do you define it, or is it like a little bit in you? I mean,
like, what do you think?
That's why I'm asking you.
I mean,
what do I think?
I don't know. I'm curious what you.
What do I think? I guess off the bat, you should be able to talk about it before you.
Yeah.
But then again, like people are always changing all the time, and if you're dating someone, especially like a long relationship, like you just naturally change. So if that happens, I mean, at the end of the day, communication is key. So whatever you're feeling, you should be able to tell your partner.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's happened to me in the past when I was in a committed relationship and my partner brought up that she wanted it to be non-monogamous.
And so, you didn't want that?
It just came out of nowhere at the time. So it was a little difficult for me to understand.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to bring it up early, because it's the same as like if you didn't want to have kids, you'd be like, I don't.
That's a big part. Yeah, it's another big part of the relationship.
They're like, and I was saying like my partner and
especially at this age.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 29.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm 32, like pushing 33. But yeah, I mean, my partner and I are currently monogamous, but like are talking about like someday being non-monogamous. And we talked about that on our first date. Oh, wow. And there was another guy who I hooked up with a while ago, who I like thought things were going super well. It was like a guy who pursued me for a really long time. And I told him like early that I wanted, that I was bi and that I wanted to have like non-monogamy, and I like thought it was great. And he had just been cheated on in a previous relationship, and he was like, I can't do this at all. And it was like good that we like had that conversation. Like it obviously sucked, but it wouldn't have made me happy, and him too. And I mean, that's not to say you should like end your relationship, but I actually think bisexuality can make it an easier to talk about, hey, I want to be non-monogamous within, if you've already been dating someone, because it's like less threatening in a way to be like, I want to hook up with other genders. Like, yeah, I don't know. It shouldn't be less threatening because like all the attractions are equivalent, but it's like when someone is clearly providing something that's different, like I think that's the beauty of non-monogamy.
Yeah. The next question is also from the L, and she asked, what did you newly discover about yourself during the process of writing your book? Did you discover anything about yourself while writing your book?
Yeah, it was like so much. Like by the end I was like, oh, I should just write this whole thing over. I think by the end of writing my book, I was like, oh, I like definitely don't just like identify as like woman, period. Like I identify as like woman ? Yeah. I think, that's the first time I've ever put it that way. I think that works for me. But by the end of the book, I was like, whoa, wait, gender is like deserves to be questioned. Another thing I found from writing the book is that I care a lot about like just abolition in general, like as an idea, as something to like we should be trying to like tear down structures as they are, and not seeing that as like a violent act, but seeing it as like an act of love and beauty, and like creating space to rebuild. Yeah.
Cool. And then we're in the last question now.
Oh wow, emotional.
And it comes from Lele610.
Yay.
What inspired the design/colors of your book cover?
Oh, wait, can we put the book cover?
We can put it right here.
It's right here. Well,
so your book is called?
My book is called Greedy: Notes from a Bisexual Who Wants Too Much. And it was really hard. Like thinking of a cover was so hard. So I worked with this designer who I was putting together a book of inspiration, and like every single piece of inspiration, I was like, wait, these are all from the same person. I should just like email this guy. And his name's Rodrigo Corral. He's amazing. And we had like a really great call. And I was like, there's not a lot in the, like, there's not visual icon, like because of the point about biculture, like there's no biculture. There's like nothing to like, there's like no tropes you can like lean on that aren't cliches, really. Like you could lean on like cuff jeans, which is like a thing on the internet, but there's not really like any iconography that exists for bi people, which is part of the problem. So and we realized like you have to come up with comp titles when you're coming out with a book, like which I think is probably good for anyone pitching like any media, but like books that are similar to yours. And we like couldn't really, I mean, there are books that are similar in that they're like memoirs with like a political identity bent, but there were none that about bisexuality like specifically. So we were like trying to figure out what that is. And Rodrigo, it was an instance of like not like I worked with someone who I didn't know how his brain got there really, like he's clearly so visual and I'm clearly so writing like words, and it was just really cool to see what he did with it. He said it was about taking up space, and I loved that. Like I talked a lot about wanting to take up space and be like firm in fluidity. I told him typography mattered a lot to me, just like generally because I like words, so it matters to me. there were so many other amazing ones. Like there was this other option with like a mutated daisy on the cover that was like, it was like really sick. If I ever read a novel, like that's gonna be the cover of my novel. Oh, but he had done something so cool where he wrote on each of the petals the titles. So it was he loves you, she loves you, they love you not, they love you.
Wow, I like that.
It was like
that.
Brilliant conceptually, but it was kind of hard to read. So
right. But it wasn't as striking visually as your covers.
And I know mine's also still kind of hard to read, but I love that because it goes. I think something I learned really at the end of writing this book is that confusion is a strength, and it means like questioning all of these systems and questioning all these things that are in place. I
love that. Confusion is a strength, and addressing it and, you know, combating it.
Yeah. Like, because a lot of bi people will be like, oh, we're not confused, we're not greedy. And it's like, actually, like, perhaps we are. And like,
and that's okay.
And the problem isn't us. The problem is the systems that tell us that we have to make up our minds.
Yeah. And capitalism.
And capitalism. You know, that's good. I'm going to start saying that. Yeah.
All right, cool. Jen.
I love you so much.
I love you too. Thanks for being on this podcast.
I'm so happy to be here.
Such a good conversation.
Yeah.
I feel just from this podcast, I feel like I've learned so much about you and about gender.
Now I need to like hear what you've been up to for the last...
We'll talk after this podcast, but this one's about you.
Okay, well, I'll start a podcast so I can hear how you're doing.
Thanks.
No.
So where can we find you? What can we promote? I mean, the book, the newsletter.
Yeah. Did I mention that I wrote a book that you could pre-order? You can pre-order it. You can go to greedy/bisexual.com, which is my URL. And there's a lot of pre-order links there. You can subscribe to the bi-monthly, my newsletter there. And you can find me on social media at generous with a J.
Yep. And by the way, your website for the book is so cool.
Oh my God.
I really like just scrolling through it and just everything.
My friend did a kick-ass job.
Oh, who's your friend?
Her name's Emily.
Shout out Emily.
Yeah, she's the best.
The site is really well done.
Thank you.
So check out that site.
She's so good.
Yeah.
She's so good.
It's like nostalgic, and also it's easy to. I had a good experience scrolling through there. So
okay, I'm so happy.
Cool. Yay. Jen, thanks so much for being on my podcast.
Having me.
Yeah. And thank you everyone for listening. This has been episode 6 of what is my podcast called again? It's called the Ask Not Me Anything. The Ask Not Me Anything podcast. This episode featuring with Jen, aka Generous. Thanks everyone so much for tuning in, and I hope you tune in for next week's episode. Have a great day. Peace.